All right, let's rock and roll. Okay.
Joy Network.
Get Your Funeral Home welcomes all of Arkadelphia and Arkansas in Clark County since 1966. At Get Your Funeral Home, they understand that the funeral is a celebration of life and legacy, so the entire staff takes great pride in the caring, personal, and professional services they provide. Cremation, funeral planning, burial policy, life insurance, notary, and monument sales are just a few of the services they offer.
Good morning, everybody that's joining. No problem, that's for a few.
And will continue to enhance their services so as to serve you better. Call now. Get connected. 870-246-2611. That's 870-246-2611. Call, click, or come by.
Good morning, Cassia. Is that how you pronounce your name, Cassia?
Call us now. Let's walk through this.
Coleman. Are you married, Coleman, or is that your maiden name? I'm curious. I'm a Coleman. Of course, you know that. You listen to the show.
I'm attorney Theodore Thompson from the Thompson Law Firm, and I want to help with your legal matters, whether it's criminal defense, bankruptcy, personal injury, or family law. I want to help you. I can be reached at 501-503-5095. Don't face your legal issues alone. You need an attorney whose primary objective is to provide you with the best legal representation. Our office address is 415 North McKinley, Suite 710 in Little Rock. I'm attorney Theodore Thompson, and I want to provide you with the best legal representation.
All right, we're about to get started here.
It's like my very own personal training studio. A Kick Above removed the guesswork and intimidation and offered me a very supportive and structured environment specific to my personal goals. Kim Leverett and her certified personal trainers even offered nutritional.
Good morning, Diane. How are you doing?
It's about me at A Kick Above. Call 501-868-8850 or go to akickabove.com. Now, what am I wearing tonight?
All right, here we go. Got about 60 seconds.
Hi, this is Alvin from Habibi's 4317 East Broadway in North Little Rock. We still have the green top at your very next stop. The same great service, but more on it. Give us a call, 501-663-1553 or 664-2992, or call our toll-free number, 1-877-HABIBI-1. Diapers, pull-ups, hospital beds, wheelchairs, Simply Fit, diabetic supplies, underpants, and more. Your durable medical supply center.
Guess who's on JoyNet Radio? It's your girl LMJ with Coffee Conversations with Lakeisha. Coffee Conversations with Lakeisha is an interactive online daily devotional that rightly divides the word of God. It's Kingdom, baby. Join us Monday through Friday at 5 a.m. Central Standard Time. That's weekday mornings, 5 a.m. at joynetradio.com.
Dr. Ernest Gill from UT San Antonio.
When you're making $465 million off these street athletes, all you come up with is $5,000. John Calipari makes $8 million a year, and his players are going to get $5,000 a year. The majority of these teams were white men and white males and females. Would this be happening? And I would say no, because their families would let it happen. But we're letting our kids get cancer.
Join the weekly sports magazine every Saturday, 8 to 10 a.m. on JoyNetRadio.com.
It's It's time for the weekly sports page with the dynamic David Coleman. Stay tuned for thrills, chills, and yes, spills. Oh yeah, and a whole lot of other great stuff. Call 855-525-5683. Tweet your questions at Dynamic Sports PA or Facebook. Drop a line on Dynamic Weekly. Sit back, relax, and groove while Dynamic drops sports in your ear hole.
Nebraska wins the game on the final play of the contest. Oh, baby. Oh, about that. Checked up indeed. Are you kidding me? And let's not keep him on the field tonight. Holy cow.
Now here's Dynamic David Coleman.
Boom, baby. Good morning and welcome to the Weekly Sports Magazine. I'm Dynamic Dave. I'm here every Saturday morning. Actually, I'm here every day of the week except Sundays. Of course, you know we do Black Focus Radio during the weekdays, noon to 2 p.m. But then on Saturdays, we're here to do the Weekly Sports Magazine. Sports is mainly my bailiwick, okay? I mean, of course, I cover the news because I like to think that I'm a learned individual. But, you know, I kind of love sports. All kinds of sports. If you got a stick and a ball, a glove, you're running, you're jumping, a pole, I don't care. I just want to play, man. Show me how you playing that game, dude. Hit my brother to that if you don't mind, okay? 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with me today if you want to get on the line and talk some sports. Of course, you can go out to Facebook and you can stream me on Facebook, although it doesn't seem to want to cooperate. So I'm going to do this so you all can stream the YouTube feed, because for some reason as of late Facebook has really been screwing up. I don't know why. I can't answer that question, but the show must go on. All right, if you want to call the show, 855-525-5683 is the number. And by the way, of course, you know every Saturday morning we like to speak to people. So do y'all mind if I do that right now? Okay. I'm going to speak to everybody. All right, I just posted the Facebook feed. The YouTube feed. You can go out there and check that out. All right. Go check that out. All right. So let me go ahead and speak to everybody here in Central Arkansas. Good morning. Little Rock, North Little Rock, the West End, the South End, the North End, the East End. Yeah, if you're not from Little Rock, yeah, we do all folks down there get all that. Jacksonville, Sherwood, Conway, Lone Oak, all of you folks in the surrounding areas, thank you and welcome to the Weekly Sports Magazine. Of course, people down near Magnolia where I went to school, El Dorado, Camden, Stevens, Stamps, Waldo, Texarkana. Good morning and welcome to the Weekly Sports Magazine. Going down to New Orleans, let's say bon ton roulette. Let the good times roll. Dave Coleman here. Good morning and welcome to the Weekly Sports Magazine. Everybody that is on the way to the Redneck Riviera or who's already there, it's crowded, it's going to be hot. But good morning and welcome to the Weekly Sports Magazine. Who else we got out there? Oh, let's go to Hot Atlanta. Everybody down there, good morning and welcome to the Weekly Sports Magazine. Okay. Let me give you that right there. All right, so someone again. They're having reception issues again. Also, you can download the app. Okay. That's another thing you can do is download the app. Let me go ahead and send that to you. All right. I'm giving someone download the Joy Net app from there you go from my website. Okay. All right. So I was speaking to everybody. Let's go to Philadelphia. Good morning and welcome to the Weekly Sports Magazine. My good buddy Larry Ridley in New York City. Good morning and welcome to the Weekly Sports Magazine. Let's go to Colorado. Welcome to the Weekly Sports Magazine. All my friends there. Can't forget about, did I say Philadelphia and Dr. Doreen Lowry? Good morning and welcome to the Weekly Sports Magazine. Okay. Let's go to California, Northern California. Good morning. Welcome to the Weekly Sports Magazine. I'm Dynamic Dave. I'll tell you what I'm going to do also with this YouTube app, because it's getting on my nerves too. I'm going to restart the app here in just a moment. All right, so y'all hang 10. We're going to restart this here in just a moment. Let's see if we can get a better feed for that. But in the meantime, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get into some of the headlines. A lot of free agent stuff that's going on. We'll talk about the Women's Cup. Do they deserve the same amount of money as the men? And Andre Iguodala spills some tea on the Golden State Warriors. And will that tea be a reason why Kevin Durant moves on? Inquiring minds want to know. We'll be back in a moment. You're listening to the Weekly Sports Magazine. I'm Dynamic Dave on JoyNetRadio.com.
From Sumter, South Carolina, it's Minister Lee Burgess and Resurrection.
Is there anybody here that know anything about old school sex?
Minister Lee Burgess and Resurrection, a talented bunch of seasoned veterans, have been doing this a little while now, but have just released for your enjoyment their new single,
Save me, Jesus.
Save Me Jesus.
Save me, Jesus.
Minister Lee Burgess and Resurrection. This new project is available on all digital outlets. Get yours now and catch up to what everybody's been talking about. Minister Lee Burgess at Resurrection. Call now, 803-847-6227. That's 803-847-6227. And enjoy Minister Lee Burgess and Resurrection.
Save me, Jesus. Save me, Lord. She tell 'em all. Save me, Jesus.
Hey, lock this number in. 501-406-7134. That's 501-406-7134. That will get you some fabulous chicken wings delivered right to your door. I'm talking Great American chicken wings with all of the flavors like spicy Cajun, honey hot, garlic hot, atomic hot, ranch hot, hot buffalo, chipotle, chili, all American, spicy lemon pepper, just to name a few. Oh, you want me to keep going? Yeah, country fried, mild barbecue, honey mustard, taco deal. Oh, I'm telling you, it's going down. Just call the number 501-406-7134. That's 501-406-7134. It's the Great American Wings, and I'm telling you, they are delicious and delivered right to your door. Call that number and get in touch today. As a matter of fact, you can drop by. We're located at 6323 Carroll Glen Road in Little Rock.
That's Great American Women.
Hi, I'm attorney Theo Thompson from the Thompson Law Firm, and I want to help with your legal matter. Whether it's criminal defense, bankruptcy, personal injury, or family law, I want to help you. I can be reached at 501-503-5095. Don't face your legal issues alone. You need an attorney whose primary objective is to provide you with the best legal representation. Our office address is 415 North McKinley, Suite 710 in Little Rock. I'm attorney Theo Thompson, and I want to provide you with the best legal representation.
I'm so glad I found the Kick Above. It's like my very own personal training studio. A Kick Above removed the guesswork and intimidation and offered me a very supportive and structured environment specific to my personal goals. Kim Leverett and her certified personal trainers even offered nutritional guidelines for my personal workout. It's about me at a Kick Above. Call 501-868-8850 or go to kickabove.com. Now, what am I wearing tonight? Thanks to a Kick Above, I look marvelous.
Sorry, I got caught unawares. I wasn't paying attention. Yeah. Good morning and welcome back to the Weekly Sports Magazine. I'm Dynamic Dave. We play the best old school bumper music in the universe. So we're kicking back like a fat rat, old school style. This morning, joining the crew, we call them the Time Band. Y'all know anything about this? Let's get some of this. We're trying to get the Facebook feed back up too, so y'all hang 10. We'll have that up here in just a moment. Got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Here's the tease for today. Tune in for updates as we head into the NBA free agency tomorrow evening, 6 p.m. Everybody gonna have their phone ready. Y'all gonna be like, man, what's going on in the NBA? Also, Iggy spilled some tea on Golden State. That's Andre Iguodala. He was on the Breakfast Club last week. Man, is Andre Iguodala going to be with the Golden State Warriors after spilling that tea? Oh, we're going to talk about that this morning. U.S. women advanced to the semis in the World Cup. Man, I watched a lot of that game yesterday evening, and it was exciting. Did you watch? Or are you one of those people who simply say, man, I don't watch soccer? Black people don't play soccer. You know there were some black people on the team that were playing, right? But more importantly, we're going to ask the question, should the Women's World Cup team be paid the same as the men? I think so. We're going to talk about that today as well. Lots of stuff to talk about. It is the Weekly Sports Magazine. We do it every Saturday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. By the way, if you'd like to advertise on the show, call me up, 615-554-0568. And we'll set up some advertising for you. We'll record the spots. Typically, they'll be generic, so you can always hang on to them unless some things change. It'll be pretty cool, man. And it's inexpensive. So give me a call. Now, where do we want to start? We're going to talk a lot of NBA free agency, obviously. So let's start with where it began. And that's the Women's World Cup. I mean, if you didn't watch it, that's on you. Okay, but it was a fun game to watch. It was an interesting game to watch. When I got to the game, United States was up 1-0. And those of you who don't know soccer jargon, that means 1-0. In fact, I got there right when the United States went up 2-0 with Megan Rapinoe's goal. who was just simply on fire yesterday. And by the way, Rapinoe is the young lady who is in a feud with Plotus. Okay. But then they go up 2-0. France comes back something like in the 83rd, 82nd minute. And they end up tying it with a header with a young lady who was taller than anybody. Great play on the part of France. They tied it with a header going in. It's 2-1, and then for the rest of the game, the United States simply has to hang on. Okay? But it was a great game. If nothing else, it's kind of like the Olympics. Let me look up something. It's kind of like like the Olympics. And so you're going to cheer because it's the United States, okay? And some people I know, I don't want the United. Look, in competition when we're competing against the world, I want the United States to win. Regardless of what's going on inside the country, it is where I live, okay? So I want them to win. And as far as competitiveness is concerned, hell, my team is the United States. So whether it's men, women, I don't care if you competed in tiddlywinks. So at the end of the day, it was an exciting match. So I enjoyed it. Congratulations to the women. They now go to the semifinals. Well, I believe they play Britain. Yeah, Britain. Yeah. And I believe that's Wednesday night, the night before the 4th of July. So that ought to be fun and ought to be interesting as well. All right. The big question is, and I just want to read an article to you, revealed the $733,000 gender pay gap in U.S. World Cup bonuses. The U.S. women's team have earned $90,000 in bonuses for reaching the World Cup quarterfinals, a sum that would be 6 times higher were they entitled to the same bonus structure as their men's counterparts. Let me just read a few graphs from this article, because this is kind of what we want to talk about right now. Okay? The U.S. women's national team hasn't even played in the quarterfinal. Well, they played last night. This is an article a couple of days old. And it's from The Guardian, by the way, of the Women's World Cup yet, but the players who helped the U.S. qualify and are in France have each already earned $90,000 in bonuses, according to documents obtained by The Guardian. Yet, if the U.S. women were entitled to the same cup bonuses as the U.S. men's national team, their reward would already be 6 times larger. The women would have already earned around $550,000 each, even with nearly half of the Women's Cup left to play. That's because the men earn more across the board in World Cup bonuses from U.S. soccer, and on top of that, they're also entitled to a set of bonuses the women don't get, such as $4.5 million to share among the players, even if the men advance to the knockout round. If the men advance to the knockout round of the World Cup, the chasm in potential earnings for progressing beyond the last 8 only widens from there. So the max earnings for a woman, max earnings for a female player, U.S. Offered the men's players player pool $2.5 million if they qualified for the 2018 World Cup. How that would be distributed was up to the players depending on how many games they played. $108,000 is around what top players would earn. Okay, so the women would earn $37,500. Okay, winning individuals winning individual qualification games. Players on both teams receive win bonuses. The U.S. women's national team's win bonus is $3,000, and the men's team is $12,500. The values show here the maximum potential bonuses they could get if the team wins all of their qualification games. The men play 11 more qualification games than the women. The women would earn $15,000, the men $200,000. Okay? Players are given a bonus for being called up as one of the 23 players. Women 37.5, the men 68.7. If they advance to the knockout stage. At the World Cup, there are multiple bonuses that men's teams receive that the women's teams don't. U.S. male players will pick up $6,800 per game, a maximum of $85,599 from the group stage points, one and an additional $195,600 for advancing to the knockout rounds. The women receive nothing. Women get $110,000 each for winning the World Cup. The men's agreement for the team is $9.3 million, which is divided equally among 23 players for lifting the trophy. World Cup Victory Tour, due to the Victory Tour, do get a Victory Tour. Should they win the World Cup, something that is contained in the men's CBA. Let's see. The women's players are promised $60,000 for each for their 4-game Victory Tour. So the bottom line is this. Those figures that I threw out, clearly the men are making more money than the women. The question is, the women are winning. The men are not. When was the last time the men won a World Cup? When was the last time America won a World Cup? Because in my lifetime, the women have won a couple of times, haven't they? I'm just asking the question. Because it seems to me that if you're winning, you would be afforded more than the team that isn't winning. Now, I know that they put more resources behind men than they do women. But in this particular case, if they're both the world team, they both, I assume, have the same similar doctors and all of that stuff. Shouldn't they get paid the same? Shouldn't they? I'm just asking the question. It would seem that they would, right? But I'm just quickly going to go and look at some World Cup winners. Okay. United States, let's see. Did the United States win a World Cup in '94 for the men? I don't think that's correct. Let me go back. Let me check something else, because I don't think that's correct. I'm just going to go back and look at World Cup winners. Okay. Brazil has 5. Germany, West Germany 4, Italy 4, Argentina 2, Uruguay 2, Spain, France, and England all won. Okay? So the United States hasn't won a World Cup in the men's division. Because, to be totally honest, the United States just really started paying attention to soccer over the last, 20, 25 years. So they haven't won a World Cup. And part of that other problem is that the best athletes are not playing for the United States. The best athletes in the United States are playing football and basketball and some baseball. So those athletes are not playing the World Cup. That's why the United States men will never win a World Cup. That's why they'll never win a World Cup. Now, the women, you're seeing some of the best athletes in Women's World Cup play. And that's why women are being, the U.S. women are being successful. But the men are not. And it goes back to my point. Why aren't the women being paid more than the men? The women are playing. The women are winning. The men are not. I'm just asking a question. It makes sense to me. Now, I understand the revenue draw. Are the women drawing as much as the men? Because I'm going through here now and looking at the women have won 91, 99, 2015, and they're about to win. They may win again this year. The men are nowhere to be seen. Now, if the women are drawing as far as the purse is concerned, but from what I can tell from the broadcast, it's packed. Do they not have the same sponsors? I don't understand that. I can tell you, I know Megan Rapinoe. I couldn't tell you a name on the Men's World Cup. Now, I know Megan Rapinoe simply because Rapinoe is constantly, and then I watched the game yesterday, but I couldn't tell you a person on the Men's World Cup. So the question is, why should they get paid? Why shouldn't they be getting paid more, I should say? I think they should. This should be a no-brainer here. It's the same argument that I use against paying WNBA players more at the same as NBA players. The NBA players are the ones who draw the revenue. The NBA players are the ones who carry the lunch for that league. If it wasn't for the NBA, the WNBA would not exist. They were near bankruptcy before the NBA co-opted them. So the WNBA is not carrying its weight as far as sponsorship, as far as attendance, all of those things needed in order to help support a league. So those players should not be getting paid the same amount as NBA players. No offense, no disrespect to your skill, but at the end of the day, it is a bottom line business. It's what you see companies do all the time. They're cutting stores that are not earning money or costing them money. So the fact that the WNBA gets some salary, sure, it should. Could it be more? Yeah, I would think so. But at the end of the day, you got to show your worth. And as far as the WNBA, from a financial standpoint, has not done that. So no, they should not be getting paid more or equal to NBA players. But World Cup women and World Cup men, World Cup women have certainly shown their worth. World Cup women have certainly proven beyond the shadow of a doubt that they are the cream of the crop. I'm looking right now at champions since '91, the United States. They have 3 since '91. They have three team titles. They have 1 runner-up, and they have 3 third-place titles. Germany has 2. Norway has 1. So the United States women have at least since the World Cup, since '91, since they started competing, the United States women have at least finished in the top 3 Wow. At least, what? 7 of those times. No one else is close to that. No other team is close to that. The team that's closest to even winning the same amount of titles as the U.S. women is Germany with 2. Germany this year is not even in the tournament, or at least in the Final Four. I don't think. Let me go back and check here. So I'm just simply saying is at the end of the day, when it comes to the women in World Cup play, they deserve more money than the men. The men ain't busting the great. And don't give me this stuff about, well, it's harder for the men because the men teams are tougher. Well, everything is relative. And in this particular case, now, probably also the reason that the women are not getting the same amount of money is sponsorship. So these companies need to be approached. It's sponsorship. These companies saying, hey, well, I want my dollars to go to the men's team. The men. If I were a company, I want my dollars to go to a winner. And that winner is the U.S. women's soccer team. And they're a proven winner. And it looks like they're going to win it again this year. It looks like they're gonna win it again this year. Okay. So let's see some of the other teams that are left here. Let me see if I can get some standings on the World Cup. So the semifinal right now. So Germany is still alive. Germany has been a bit of a thorn in the side of the United States. So the United States plays England on Tuesday. The second semifinal game will be between Germany and between the winner of Germany and Sweden, who are also playing today at 11:30. Okay, so let's say Germany wins, the United States win. That sets up an interesting match, which will take place on Sunday at 10 a.m. But if Germany and the United States play, Germany is the only team that has won 2 World Cups. Okay? And when I go back and look at the statistics, it looks like Germany has defeated the United States a couple of times. Let me go back and look real fast. So in 2003, let's see. Oh, no, they didn't. I was looking at something else. In 2003, Germany defeated Sweden on America's soil 2-1. And then in 2004, they won back-to-back. They defeated Brazil. So Germany is going to be doesn't look like the United States nor Germany has met one another in the finals. Now, of course, we're getting our, let's not get our cart before the horse here, but it could certainly set up a very, very interesting finals if Germany and the United States ends up playing against one another. But first, the United States has got to get by England, and of course, the United States has got to get by Sweden. So I'm just curious, those years that the United States won, the United States, they beat Norway, they beat China, and they beat Japan. Okay. So it doesn't look like, let me double check here. Okay, so no, I was looking to see if there were any of the teams that the United States has previously beaten in the finals left alive, and that answer is no. Okay. So here's who's left. Italy and the Netherlands are playing right now. Now, how is this going to work here? Germany and the Swedes are playing at 11:30 today. Let me see how this is going to work. Oh, okay. So Italy and the Netherlands are playing today. The winner of that game will have to play the winner of the Germany-Sweden game. Okay? The United States has already advanced to pass their round. That's why I was wondering, that looked a little peculiar. Okay? So England played Norway and beat Norway. The United States played France and beat France. So they go to the semis already. Okay? All right, so that's enough World Cup talk. But the bottom line is that the women should get the same amount of money as the men. 855-525-5683 is the number. Let's go out and take a quick break. You're listening to the Weekly Sports Magazine. I'm Dynamic Dave on JoinItRadio.com.
How many people have come up to you and said, hey, I didn't know you had a business? Yeah, that can happen when you don't advertise. I have a solution for you. Advertise on joinadradio.com and let the world know that you're in business. I know what you're thinking. Advertising is so expensive. I've got a great package for you that will cut your expense and increase your bottom line. It's only $125 for startup and new businesses. Call me, David W. Coleman, at 615-554-0568, and I'll put together a package specifically for your business. Now is the time to tell the world, hey, I'm in business. Come spend your money on quality goods in my store. Let us help you at joinadradio.com. Here's the number. Call me, 615-554-0568. We are here to assist you in building your brand.
Hi, I'm attorney Gilda Thompson from the Thompson Law Firm, and I want to help with your legal matters. Whether it's criminal defense, bankruptcy, personal injury, or family law, I want to help you. I can be reached at 501-503-5095. Don't face your legal issues alone. You need an attorney whose primary objective is to provide you with the best legal representation. Our office address is 415 North McKinley, Suite 710 in Little Rock. I'm attorney Gilda Thompson, and I want to provide you with the best legal representation.
I'm so glad I found the Kick Above. It's like my very own personal training studio. A Kick Above removed the guesswork and intimidation and offered me a very supportive and structured environment specific to my personal goals. Kim Leverett and her certified personal trainers even offered nutritional guidelines for my personal workout. It's about me. At A Kick Above, call 501-868-8850 or go to akickabove.com. Now, what am I wearing tonight? Thanks to A Kick Above, I look marvelous.
Mitchell Funeral Home welcomes all of Arkadelphia and Arkansas in Clark County since 1966. At Mitchell Funeral Home, they understand that the funeral is a celebration of life and legacy, so the entire staff takes great pride in the caring, personal, and professional services they provide. Cremations, funeral planning, burial policy, life insurance, notary, and monument sales are just a few of the services they offer. Flexible packages are available as well. Mitchell Funeral Home appreciates the trust and confidence placed in them and will continue to enhance their services so as to serve you better. Call now. Get connected. 870-246-2611. That's 870-246-2611. Call, click, or come by. MitchellFuneralServices.com. Don't wait till we need it. Call us now. Let's walk through this together. 870-246-2611. It's quality you can appreciate and service you can depend on at Mitchell Funeral Home.
All right, welcome back to the show. It's the Weekly Sports Magazine. I'm Dynamic Dave, playing the best old school bumper music in the universe. Kicking back like a fat rat old school style. Hope y'all enjoyed the World Cup talk. I did. Hey, I told you, if it's a bat, it has a ball, a puck, a net, I don't care. Skates, competition, running, sweating, jumping, I don't care. If it's a sport, if it's competition, I'm going to watch it. Except for wrestling. That's not a sport. That's a soap opera. No offense to you wrestling fans out there. That's not a sport. That's a soap opera. You know, where the outcome is predetermined, kind of like UFC. It's a soap opera. All right. So a couple other headlines before we get into the NBA. I want to talk a little bit about, Zion is already being sued. Apparently he got involved with one marketing group and wanted to cut ties, and they're suing him for $100 million. It's not good. Not good. Apparently got some bad advice or didn't listen to anybody before he signed on a dotted line. And now, in fact, more than $100 million is the subject of a federal and now state court litigation involving Zion Williams. 2 weeks ago, the 18-year-old sued Prime Sports Marketing, a Florida-based company, and its president, Gina Ford, in U.S. District Court. As explained in an accompanying Sports Illustrated story, Williamson insists that a contract he signed with Prime Sports in April to represent him in endorsement deals is void and illegal under North Carolina Uniform Athlete Agent Act. Williamson intends to have CAA Sports represent him in negotiations for both his forthcoming employment contract with the Pelicans and lucrative endorsement deals with various companies. CAA basketball agent Austin Brown and CAA executive Lisa Joseph Metalis will primarily handle Williamson's dealings. Ford, who has represented Usain Bolt and other athletes in endorsement deals, has now struck back, and she hopes Williamson will pay a hefty price for what she depicts as Williamson and CAA conspiring to steal her work and brazenly breach a contract that Williamson had willingly signed. Whew. Well, most of these things get settled out of court. We'll see what happens. Somebody's going to get some money. Whether or not they get $100 million, I don't know. By the way, Ford is represented by attorney Stephen Drummond of New York-based law firm Drummond and Squillis. Drummond, who served 6 years enlisted active duty in the United States Marine Corps and has been honored for his service by the Gulf War, has crafted a detailed complaint with a clear central theme after Williamson contractually agreed to Ford's representation and after Ford engaged in substantive negotiations with such major companies as Puma, EA Sports, Mercedes-Benz on Williamson's behalf. Williamson and CAA conspired to unlawfully cut Ford out of the equation. This ain't looking good. This ain't looking good. But we'll see what happens going forward as it relates to Zion Williamson. Also, in other contract news, my favorite player has been traded to the New Jersey Devils. I think I talked about this a little bit last week. PK Subban has now been traded to the Devils for some assets. Let's see, they picked up Santini, who is 24. And let's see, and by the way, he came out of the AHL. A couple other players as well. One of the things why Subban is gone is he was the highest paid player on the Nashville roster. So they're kicking off $9 million in salary. Still my favorite player, though. Okay. Let's see what else we want to talk about before we get into the NBA. I just want to make sure we're covering all our bases here. We got a few minutes to go in the top of the hour, before the top of the hour. The NCAA considers postseason ban for California schools if state proceeds with amateurism reform. Now, what does that mean? Well, let's find out. The ongoing national debate about paying college athletes has led to California setting the pace for progressiveness. Now, this is from CBS Sports. Earlier this year, state legislators voted by an overwhelming 31-4 margin in California Senate to allow student athletes to be able to profit off of their name, image, and likenesses. This won't mean anything to most current college athletes because the statute wouldn't kick into effect until 2023. There are still a few more policy-making hoops to jump through, but California appears set to be a game-changing agent in the world of amateurism, unless the NCAA can convince them otherwise. There's a fascinating issue coming to a head here. USA Today reports that NCAA President Mark Emmert recently made an overture via a written letter to two chairpersons imploring California State Assembly leaders to reconsider the timeline on its upcoming regulations. Emmett's reasoning is that California's lawmakers would end up inadvertently triggering ineligibility for in-state California state student athletes. The reason is simple and obvious. NCAA rules currently don't allow for players to profit off of their achievements, abilities, personalities, marketing, anything while in school. Let me read that again. Under current NCAA rules, players are not allowed to profit off of their own achievements, abilities, personalities, marketing, anything while in school. So let's say, for instance, you are a star quarterback, but you're also a great artist. And you're on Facebook or you're on YouTube and you have all of these great artworks, but you can't sell them because you are an NCAA football player. Your artwork has nothing to do with you playing football, but you can't sell that artwork. This goes for both conference tournaments and national playoffs. This applies to essentially every NCAA sanctioned sport with the exception of high-level FBS football, which for nearly 4 decades has run its bowl and national championship configurations outside of the NCAA purview. It's a tricky gambit for Emmert. The NCAA is currently evaluating its stance on the NIL issue, but still, it seems a far cry to expect that the organization to be aggressively proactive as California lawmakers have been, and other states could soon follow California's trail. Here's part of Emmert's letter. We recognize all the efforts that have been undertaken to develop this bill in the context of the complex issues related to current collegiate model that have been the subject of litigation and much national debate. Nonetheless, when contrasted with current NCAA rules as drafted, the bill threatens to alter materially the principles of intercollegiate athletics and create local differences that would make it impossible to host fair national championships. As a result, it likely would have a negative impact on the exact student athletes it intends to assist. No, it wouldn't. I'm not going to read any more of that crap. Mark Emmert, you want to keep your golden calf. That's the bottom line. The decision for California's legislators will likely create recruiting advantages and disadvantages that the NCAA does not want to see come to light. So now California legislators find themselves with even more power than they might have initially expected. If they, in effect, call Emmert's bluff, the onus will then be on Emmert and the NCAA cohorts to make a decision. The NCAA can stay on its current track and do nothing. which would likely trigger ineligibility for California-based programs in 4 years and provide another sequence of bad press for the NCAA, or it could have its hands forced and actually enact new rules that allow for the exact thing California's congresspeople have pushed for. Wouldn't that be interesting? And if other states follow, what's the NCAA to do? What if, come 2021, there are 5 or 6 states that opt for the legislation? It has been the hope of many that the NIL issue would lead to fairer free market opportunities for college athletes. The timeline always seemed viewable, but still far in the distance. Turns out the most populated state in the country would be the entity to catalyze change and bring about some of the most significant rule changes in NCAA history. Now the bottom line is this, is that, think about it, you're basically saying that you're going to make all the athletes that play in all of those Pac-10 schools, all of those, look, there are all types of other conferences that are in the California area. You're going to say that you're going to make all of those athletes ineligible? I certainly hope the California legislature calls the NCAA bluff. Because here's the thing about it with California, of all states, particularly with Hollywood, that's a state, and then you've got Silicon Valley. You've got all of those people who are at the top of the chain when it comes to intellectual property. That's why those people are billionaires, because of their intellectual property. And are you saying that now, because I think this is where this is really coming from. It's coming from two fronts. It's coming from Silicon Valley and it's coming from Hollywood. Because both of those business entities deal with intellectual properties on the highest levels. So now you're telling them that they can profit from their intellectual properties. What they've done basically is went to the legislature and said, hey, we need you to solidify the rules on intellectual property. And it's going to help these kids. And it should. And the NCAA, whether they like it or not, you better get on this train, because what you've been doing is literally stealing from these young men and women, more so these young men. You just heard me say that their bowl championship series is operated outside of the NCAA purview. So they can decide when they want to do something outside of the NCAA purview. They can get rights and sell the rights of other people to make money. But the people that they're selling the rights to cannot. This makes no sense. Think about it from the perception of the Hollywood actor. The Hollywood actor might sign a contract with a studio to make 6 movies. But that doesn't keep that Hollywood actor from signing a contract with a deodorant company or a soup company. Same applies to an NBA player. He signs a contract with that team, the Lakers, the Nets, or whomever the case may be. But then he can go out and sign a contract with a movie studio, with a shoe company. He can sign other endorsements. But with an athlete in college, where they are clearly earning potential, earning cash cows for the NCAA, we know for a fact that just alone, college basketball earns $1 billion for the NCAA. I would argue that football earns about the same. We don't know for sure, because we don't really get a number, because the Bowl Championship Series is a private entity. They pay the NCAA X amount of dollars. But we do know for a fact that at least in the SEC, every team gets a payout anywhere from $40 to $60 million. So I applaud the state of California. Keep up the great work. I think I'll write a letter to them applauding this is something that is long overdue. Because at the end of the day, it's pretty clear to me that the NCAA is not going to share any of this money. And it's one of those things where kind of like the United States government when, people were pushing for the end of apartheid and they were talking about a constructive engagement and nothing ever got done. This is constructive engagement. You talk at the issue and you keep everybody talking at the issue, but you never do anything about it. Well, good for you. We got to go out and take the top of the hour break. It's the Weekly Sports Magazine. I'm Dynamic Dave on joynetradio.com.
Mitchell Funeral Home welcomes all of Arkadelphia and Arkansas in Clark County since 1966. At Mitchell Funeral Home, they understand that the funeral is a celebration of life and legacy, so the entire staff takes great pride in the caring, personal, and professional services they provide. Cremations, funeral planning, burial policy, life insurance, notary, and monument sales are just a few of the services they offer. Flexible packages are available as well. Mitchell Funeral Home appreciates the trust and confidence placed in them and will continue to enhance their services so as to serve you better. Call now. Get connected. 870-246-2611. That's 870-246-2611. Call, click, or come by. MitchellFuneralServices.com. Don't wait till we're needed. Call us now. Let's walk through this together. 870-246-2611. It's quality you can appreciate and service you can depend on at Mitchell Funeral Home.
Hi, I'm attorney Theodore Thompson from the Thompson Law Firm, and I want to help with your legal matters. Whether it's criminal defense, bankruptcy, personal injury, or family law, I want to help you. I can be reached at 501-503-5095. Don't face your legal issues alone. You need an attorney whose primary objective is to provide you with the best legal representation. Our office address is 415 North McKinley, Suite 710 in Little Rock. I'm attorney Theodore Thompson, and I want to provide you with the best legal representation.
I'm so glad I found the Kick Above. It's like my very own personal training studio. A Kick Above removed the guesswork and intimidation and offered me a very supportive and structured environment specific to my personal goals. Kim Leverett and her certified personal trainers even offered nutritional guidelines for my personal workout. It's about me at A Kick Above. Call 501-868-8850 or go to akickabove.com. Now, what am I wearing tonight? Thanks to A Kick Above, I look marvelous.
Hi, this is Alvin from Habibi's 4317 East Broadway in North Little Rock. We still have the green top at your very next stop. The same great service, but more of it. Give us a call, 501-663-1553 or 664-2992, or call our toll-free number, 1-877-HABIBI-1. Diapers, pull-ups, hospital beds, wheelchairs, Simply Fit, diabetic supplies, underpads, and more. Your durable medical supply center.
Guess who's on JoyNet Radio? It's your girl LMJ with Coffee Conversations with Lakeisha. Coffee Conversations with Lakeisha is an interactive online daily devotional that rightly divides the Word of God. It's Kingdom, baby. Join us Monday through Friday at 5 a.m. Central Standard Time. That's weekday mornings, 5 a.m. at joynetradio.com.
LeBron James is the greatest player we've seen this generation. You have to be careful when you start saying, and so he wouldn't as good as Mike, or he wasn't as good as Magic. Every generation you get that. You begin to sound like that old man that lives down the street, and every time you walk on his yard, or you even walk by his yard, he's on the porch, and he's got that little crooked finger, he's like, get off my lawn! Get off my lawn! Join the Weekly Sports Magazine every Saturday, 8 to 10 a.m. on joynetradio.com. Get off my lawn!
It's time for the Weekly Sports sports page with the dynamic David Coleman. Stay tuned for thrills, chills, and yes, spills. Oh yeah, and a whole lot of other great stuff. Call 855-525-5683. Tweet your questions at Dynamic Sports PA or Facebook. Drop a line on Dynamic Weekly Sports Show. Sit back, relax, and groove while Dynamic drops sports in your ear hole.
Wins the game on the final play of the contest. Checked up indeed. Are you kidding me?
Now here's Dynamic David Coleman.
All right, welcome back. Give it up, give it up. Yeah. A real good time. If you want to try to blow your mind this morning, it's the Weekly Sports Magazine. Appreciate everybody joining me today. We got the best old school bumper music. Joining us this morning is, ladies and gentlemen, The Time. We play the best old school bumper music in the universe. I appreciate everybody joining me. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. By the way, Daniel Gafford, dream come true. He got drafted last week. The Chicago Bears, 44th pick. I'm not surprised. Didn't talk about much. Just quickly, Daniel has a lot of work to do. He's got to get his jump shot. He certainly has to hit free throws, and he's got to get stronger in the post. Otherwise, he would have went a lot long. I mean, he runs the floor great, but he was easily rooted out on numerous of occasions, and that's part of the reason that Mike Anderson doesn't have a job at the Razorbacks any longer. Okay? But hats off to him. Hopefully he has a lot of success with the Chicago Bulls. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Let's see. This hour, we're going to talk a lot about the NBA. But before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about Andre Iguodala. You know, free agency is about to come up. And, you know, when Kevin Durant was injured early on in the playoffs, I think it was the second round against Houston, many people surmised, based on the way the injury looked, that it was a torn Achilles at that point. Now, if you remember, I said that I wonder if Golden State was trying to do Kevin Durant a solid because he was a unrestricted free agent, that they would not actually reveal his injury. And I shouldn't even say that Golden State is doing him a solid. What a lot of people don't understand is that the team does not have the right to release medical information about a player. That's under the HIPAA laws, all right? When you hear a team release that information, it's a wink and a nod from the player that it's okay to do that. But if the player says, I don't want you to tell them what's wrong with me, the team can't release that information, or they could be sued. That is serious, folks. That covers the entire gamut of employment. It's like a nurse, no matter how bad your disease may be, cannot go out because she works on your case. She cannot go out and tell her friend or her husband that Mr. Johnson has HIV. If that's found out, she could not only be sued, but she could go to jail. So, I think they both agreed. And I think quite possibly he had a strained Achilles at that point. I'm just surmising this. He had a strained Achilles at that point. And he struggled to get back. Because again, it was peculiar that when he came back to play, he didn't have any type of wrap or anything on his calf muscle. That was really peculiar. Okay? So he comes back. Now he tears his Achilles. Now, another aspect of that is maybe Kevin Durant wasn't getting the right information from team doctors. What you don't understand is, although, well, the operative phrase is team doctors, not Kevin Durant doctor, not your doctor, but team doctor. And the team doctor's job is to get your butt back on the court, on the field. You may hurt a little bit, but you can go. There's a difference between being hurt and being injured. At least that's what they like to say. So I'm wondering whether or not the ruptured Achilles was from bad information. Here's what backs that up. Last year, it happened to me. I missed the last 3 games of the Houston series. It goes to game 7. We barely get out of that series, and now you looking at me like, when you coming back? And I had a fractured leg, but it's being put out there like you got a bone bruise. Like, no, it's a fracture. So I'm fighting with the team, I'm fighting with the people, I'm fighting with the media. Then my teammates ask me every day, how you feeling? How you feeling? So with Kevin Durant, he getting it from everywhere too. How you feeling? How you feeling? Not just with the team, but from the family. That's Andre Iguodala, folks. Let's see if we can get some audio from that. I want you to hear from his mouth. That's Andre Iguodala. More from Andre as it relates to his thoughts on Mark Jackson.
What happened with Mark Jackson? You played under Mark Jackson for a year, right? Mm-hmm. Now, whatever happened to Mark? Because he put that team together, it seems like, and then nobody ever gave him a chance again, which seems weird.
It's the politics of it, man. And
when you say politics, what do you mean? I know they used to be upset because he was too religious. They said.
Did he make y'all go to church? That was a rumor.
No, he didn't make it. He didn't make it. Like, he offered it to us, and we all went as a team, because we got a team bunch of believers, so we went to church. Like, we was going to church regardless. Mm-hmm. But it was the politics, and then you know how it is. Once they want you out, they're going to find something. So he had church in the facility, like on Wednesday sometimes. He would stream his church service from the facility.
Mean? During practice?
No, like at night. Like Wednesday night service. He'll just set up a computer in the facility, and he'll just preach. And then his congregation can watch, to stream it from at home or from the church.
So if y'all was on the road, he was preaching from wherever he was.
Well, on the road, I don't know. I know at home he did. It'd be like at 7 o'clock at night, so nobody was in there. Mm-hmm. And then, one particular issue was, from what I heard, was his views on gender or marriage or what the Bible said on your sexuality. Okay. And our head of our business, who he just went in the Hall of Fame, he was the brains behind All-Star Weekend. Like this dude, he created the All-Star Weekend. Rick Welch, genius business, and he's celebrated as one of the top execs in sports on the business side, and he's gay. Mm-hmm. So there was conflicts with that was, widespread. Everyone was talking about that, and it's interesting. Someone mentioned to me, it's like people can express themselves, but are you allowed to express yourself that you don't agree with? You should accept it because we should all accept each other, but it's like we're afraid to really say our beliefs. Mm-hmm. Now, like, you may not believe in something, but you still embrace that, or you have respect for them. It's as long as you don't disrespect them or judge them.
You think Mark Jackson is blackballed?
I do.
Really? Absolutely. Wow.
That's Andre Iguodala. Andre Iguodala, who is was an MVP finals, a finals MVP, I should say, who plays for the Golden State Warriors, spilling some tea. First and foremost, let's deal with that backwards. Let's first talk about Mark Jackson. Many people have asked the question, what happened to Mark Jackson? Clearly he's a good coach. Clearly he knows basketball. You hear him all the time on NBA broadcast. He put that Golden State team together before he was jettisoned. So as I said before, we're going to see what type of coach Steve Kerr is now. With only Steph Curry, Klay Thompson is hurt, Kevin Durant is hurt. Let's see what kind of coach you are now, because you didn't build that team. You're getting all the credit, but it was Mark Jackson who built the team. And many people have wondered over the years, since Mark Jackson left coaching, why hasn't Mark Jackson getting another coaching job? You hear that all the time in basketball circles. Any of my friends who knows basketball, man, what's up with Mark Jackson? So now we know. So Mark Jackson is being discriminated against because of his views. Here's the one thing that, and I don't mean to get political on this point, but I need to, I think, to make this point. You know what? A KKK man has a right to his views. A person in the KKK. But I don't have to agree with you. Mark Jackson is a Christian. Whether you agree with that or not, he has his views. That should not keep him from being a coach in the NBA, especially some of these busters that are coaching. Why isn't he a coach? Apparently he's being blackballed, according to Andre Iguodala, who apparently has some inside tea. Interesting. Now we know. Now moving back to the Kevin Durant thing. You heard him. And let me play that again, because I thought that was interesting. Listen to this.
Everyone's feeding stuff in our head when KD comes back.
And the fact that it's the finals.
I'm saying. Last year happened to me. I missed the last 3 games of the Houston series. It goes to Game 7. We barely get out of that series. And now they're looking at me like, when you coming back? And I had a fractured leg. But it's being put out there like you got a bone bruise. No, it's fractured. But I'm fighting with the team. I'm fighting with people. I'm fighting with the media. And then my teammates ask me every day, how you feeling? How you feeling? So with K, he's getting it from everywhere too.
So y'all get that, right? Andre Iguodala had a fractured leg and I remember them saying last year that he had a bone bruise. I remember that. That's the information that they were given to the media, although he had a fractured leg. But they were expecting him to come out and play. So it must have been a hairline fracture, but still painful enough that you can't go 100%. But Golden State lied and said, hey, he has a bone bruise. Just like they said, oh, Kevin Durant, that ain't a bone bruise. That's not a torn Achilles. That's a bruised calf muscle. Now, I'm not a doctor. And we all know if you play sports and been injured, you know what overcompensation is. Basically, that is You get injured and you overcompensate somewhere else for that injury. You put too much pressure on another muscle, bone, limb to keep the pressure off of the item that has been injured, because you have not developed confidence in that injured whatever it was. So you overcompensate. And quite often what happens, because of that overcompensation, you end up injuring yourself again somewhere else. So if you want to argue that that's what happened to Kevin Durant, okay, go ahead. But also, if you want to argue that the Achilles was probably bruised, and then because they rushed him back, and then it was torn, I would take that argument as well, especially what Andre Iguodala just said. Now, what does that mean as we turn our focus to free agency? I think the comments of Andre Iguodala will be verified if, in fact, Durant decides to sign somewhere else. All these, look, and there are some other dynamics that we forget that come into play with Durant and Golden State. Durant has basically proven his point, I think, by being injured. That helped Durant prove his point that you need me to win a championship. Now, that could be argued because obviously they won without Kevin Durant before he got there. But in this particular case, they won twice with Durant. Him being injured, now, you might want to argue that, hey, had Klay Thompson not gotten injured, maybe the winner of the championship is different. We don't know, but the facts are that Durant was injured, they didn't win. So Durant can stick with that and say, hey, look, you need me, I want big money. Now, we've heard that they're planning to sign Durant a 5-year deal, let him rehab the first year, yada, yada, yada. But the thing is, and from what I understand, Golden State can sign him, offer him the most money of anyone. But on the other hand, Kevin Durant still is trying to prove himself. Because you won 2 championships at a team that was already winning championships does not prove that you are the best player. And Durant wants to be viewed as the best player in the NBA. The only way Durant can do that is go to another team and lead that team to a championship, which I don't think he's capable of doing. I've said often that everybody is not a leader. Everybody can put up 50 points like James Harden, but James Harden isn't a great leader. Because he'd understand what Chris Paul is saying is that we've got to get everybody else involved in the offense. And when you don't have the ball, you need to cut. You need to do something instead of just stand there. So Kevin Durant, and you throw in the aspect that earlier in the season, there was a little, tete-a-tete between he and Draymond Green. Remember? Yeah, Draymond Green, kind of cussed at him and hurt his feelings and told him, hey, we were winning without you anyway. Now, you throw that dynamic into it. You throw in the fact that if, in fact, Andre Iguodala is telling the truth about their medical staff, maybe they did tell Kevin Durant the wrong thing. Now, we understand from what Golden State has said, what the GM said, that Kevin Durant and his people were involved in the decision for Durant to come back at that time. Now, if I'm Durant, look, I'm sorry. I'm worrying about me. I'm not worrying about a championship. I already got 2. I don't have anything to prove. And because I'm an unrestricted free agent, if I mess around and get hurt, oh man, that could affect me for a long time. I think Durant made a bad decision. I think he made a bad business decision. It would be different if Durant would have never won a championship and he was coming back to win his first. But Durant had already won 2 previously, 2 finals MVPs. You didn't have anything to prove to anyone at that point. So you come back at that point, you rupture your Achilles. Now that's going to affect your career from this point forward. Now, I know there are teams out there who are simply saying, we still want him. We still want him. We still want him. We still want him. Well, that's fortunate. But I do wonder if, in fact, Durant will look at what has transpired at Golden State, the fact that you lost, the fact that Andre Iguodala is now coming out and saying that the training staff lied to him about a fractured leg as opposed to a bone bruise, and was putting it out in the public that it was a bone bruise, and the fisticuffs that went on between Golden State, Draymond Green, and Kevin Durant earlier in the season. I wonder if Kevin Durant look at that and say, hey, I ain't got nothing to prove to these people. Let me go out here, because he's still going to get paid a hefty sum of money. He might decide, hey, look, anyone that picks me up, New York would love to have me. New Jersey would love to have me. The Clippers would love to have me. Anyone that would pick him up, they don't mind him rehabbing for a year, because it's going to take approximately a year for that Achilles injury to heal. They don't mind that. The question is, will all of those parameters and dynamics come into play when Kevin Durant makes this decision tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock? You know, in my heart of hearts, I'd like to think that he's going to stay, but I don't know. Something is driving in me to think that Kevin Durant is gone from Golden State. And I think those dynamics may have come into play. I don't know anything. I'm just like you. I'm trying to analyze what's going on via the reports that I read and see. But I just think Kevin Durant is gone. Now, where he's going to end up, I could see him ending up in New Jersey. I could see that. He and Kyrie Irving, I could see that happening. Now, if that happens, then D'Angelo Russell is a Los Angeles Laker, which finally have gotten their salary cap issues. You know, that $4 million kicker that Anthony Davis had in his contract, it basically meant that if he was ever traded, he gets $4 million. The team that he's traded to gets to eat that $4 million. Well, somehow or another, Anthony Davis was convinced to waive that. Now, he's probably going to get that money somewhere on the back end of this contract, but he was able to waive that, so that opened up the door for the Lakers with more money to be able to and go out and sign some other free agents. Now, all of a sudden, Kawhi Leonard is in the mix. He's going to talk to the Lakers. Now, let me just tell you something. If the Lakers get Kawhi Leonard with LeBron James, can you imagine this? LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, and Anthony Davis on the same damn team. Oh my God. Let me say that again. Oh my God. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Kawhi is going to go to LA. But let me take a pause for the cause for LeBron, because y'all know I got to give my boy some love right now, okay? I'm not a Lakers fan. I'm a LeBron fan. So wherever he goes, if he wins, great. If he's successful, great. I want him to be a success, because he's proven everybody wrong that has hated against him. Now, last year this time, what were people saying about LeBron? Oh, nobody wants to go and play with LeBron. No one wants to be a part of LeBron James circus. Oh, that LeBron James circus, it's just terrible. Oh, no one wants to be in the shadow. No one wants to be Robin. What a difference a year makes. Kawhi Leonard thinking about going to the Lakers. Kemba Walker thinking about going to the Lakers. Jimmy Butler. So what that basically says, I know many of you haters out there have forgotten about those things that you said about LeBron, but look at them now. There are a whole lot of free agents apparently want to go play with LeBron. Okay? And I would argue that Paul George is probably sorry that he didn't go, because Paul George will never win a championship at Oklahoma City. It's just not going to happen. And now that the fact that LeBron has got Anthony Davis, that puts your championship hopes in even more peril, Oklahoma City. and Paul George. I'm just saying. So y'all still hating on LeBron. I even heard a national talk show host say, wouldn't the league be better without LeBron James? Oh man, will you get off of it? Really? If it wasn't LeBron James, it would be someone else. So give me a break here. But I just had to throw that out there for you Laker haters. Well, and I don't care if you are a Laker hater, for you LeBron haters. Okay? So, let's talk quickly about Kawhi Leonard. And before we do that, let's do this. Let me go through the list of free agents. There's some good ones on this list. And I'm going to tell you, tomorrow night, the NBA is going to be changed. It's going to be changed. Here are some of the names. Here are some of the top 20 NBA free agents, team options, and player options, okay? Unrestricted and restricted. Obviously, Kawhi Leonard is the number one person on the list. Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Kemba Walker, Klay Thompson. As of last night, Klay is basically getting what he wanted from Golden State, so it looks like he's going to stay at Golden State. I don't have the numbers on that, but as of last night, an offer has been made to Klay Thompson. All right? Kristaps Porzingis, we know he's a restricted free agent, but he's going to stay in Dallas. Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris. Look, if you are the Philadelphia 76ers, why did you go through all those machinations to get Jimmy Butler and Tobias Harris, and then you're not going to offer them a contract? That's kind of stupid. Well, really, the Philadelphia 76ers have been kind of stupid over the last few years, and that's my team. Chris Middleton, he's going to command some big money. Could he end up at the Lakers? Nikolai Vucevic, D'Angelo Russell, DeMarcus Cousins. Many think DeMarcus Cousins could end up in New York. Al Horford, where will he end up? He's an unrestricted free agent and apparently no longer wants to be at Boston. Bijan Bogdanovic, Julius Randle, Brook Lopez, Paul Millsap, and DeAndre Jordan. All of those guys are either team option, restricted or unrestricted free agents, or may have a player option. Those are some names that's going to change some franchises. Porzingis, we already know he's going to be at Dallas. Klay Thompson, in all likelihood, is going to still be at Golden State. But remember, Klay Thompson's going to miss half of the year with that ACL injury. The names sitting out there that could really change, I would say the top 4 names. What would happen if Kemba Walker ended up with Los Angeles? Here is what, if I'm the Lakers, you got to build out a bench. And you need some solid players. Kemba Walker would be good. I would not agree to get Kyrie Irving. If I'm LeBron James, I'm saying we've been there, done that. And although Kyrie has went to Boston and got slapped on his wrist, not understanding what leadership was all about, while LeBron was trying to lead he and others at Cleveland, he got a full dose of that when he was a Boston Celtic. And he realized he was in error of his ways. And he wants to come back to LeBron. If I'm LeBron, I say, sorry, dog. You go do your thing. Because what's going to happen when next year you feel like the same way and you split? I got a legacy that I'm trying to build. So if I'm LeBron, I don't want Kyrie Irving. Here's the guard that I want. If I had a choice, it would be Kemba Walker. Okay? Because that would allow LeBron, Kemba Walker, he's a ball handler, but he's not a ball hog. Kemba Walker gets other people involved. So I would like Kemba Walker. Another guard that I would probably like is D'Angelo Russell. Excuse me. Although D'Angelo Russell also is a ball-dominant guard. Malcolm Brogdon from the Milwaukee Bucks. I'd like him. I'm not sure about J.J. Redick because J.J. Redick is more of a shooting guard. Now, certainly if I want a shooter, J.J. Redick would be, but I mean, you could get a couple of these guys for about $10 million a year. So Malcolm Brogdon, D'Angelo Russell, and maybe get a big man. How about Vucevic, Nikolai Vucevic? That's 3 guys that you could get, and then of course you fill out the rest of your roster. Or if not Brogdon, how about Chris Middleton? The Lakers are sitting in the catbird seat right now. Now, obviously, Las Vegas had put them in as the odds-on favorite to win it, but that doesn't mean they're going to win it. They're out there trying to win money. You go out and put $100 on the Lakers to win it this year. I mean, I would do that. I don't think the Bucks are going to be back where they were. You lose Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton was a big, big reason why you went on. And then, of course, you got Malcolm Brogdon that you probably will lose him as well. That team and Brook Lopez, you got 3 essential cogs for that team that you're going to probably lose in free agency beginning tomorrow night. We'll see. If that happens, what's going to happen to Milwaukee? What's going to happen to Milwaukee? That's something to pay attention to, folks. So if that's the case, does Kawhi stay in Toronto? There's not a guarantee. Look, let's be honest. Although I thought Game 7 would have been interesting, but if Golden State's healthy, I don't think Toronto wins the finals. I'm just being honest. I don't have a dog in the hunt for either team. But if Golden State stays healthy, I don't think Toronto wins the finals. So if you are Kawhi Leonard, do you look at that from that perspective and say, hey, look, hey, dog, it's kind of like the summer girlfriend. That summer romance. You know what I'm saying? You go on a trip. I've had a few of these back in the day. You go to another city and spend some time in the summer. You meet this girl. Y'all fall for each other for the summer. And then if you're lucky, you go back to the same place next summer, but it's just a summer romance. Now it's a little different today because you have social media. But back then, all you could do was keep in touch by letter. And when the letter stopped coming, or you decide that, hey, I don't want to write anymore, you kind of know that the summer romance is over. But then you go back the next, and both of y'all understand, well, baby, things got busy. I didn't have time to write, yada, yada, yada. It's kind of how this is with Kawhi Leonard. Is Toronto a summer romance? We'll all know tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Where he may end up. Here's the thing. I think Kawhi... Let me think about this for a moment. I'm going to try and give you an idea. Here are the teams that have the most cap space. The Brooklyn Nets, the New York Knicks, the Kings that we're not even paying attention to, the 76ers. See, this is why it doesn't make any sense with the 76ers. You go out and do all that hustle to get Jimmy Butler and Tobias Harris, and you don't sign them, and you got money to sign them. Man, that's idiotic. The Clippers, Mavericks, Pacers, Celtics, Pelicans, Lakers, Bulls, and Suns. That's the list of free agents, the teams that have the most for free agency. Don't make any sense, man. It just doesn't if you're the Philadelphia 76ers. And it's looking more and more like the Philadelphia 76ers don't know what the hell they're doing. And as far as the New York Knicks are concerned, they have the second most in calorie space available, cap space available, I should say. But nobody wants to go and play for the Knicks. But that could change with Durant. I think Durant is gone now. I think he's going to go to one or two New York teams. That's either the Nets or the Knicks. And the Nets have the most money to spend. Now, the Nets have said that, hey, they don't really want Kyrie if they can't get Durant. Has Kyrie and Durant been talking to one another? I'm wondering. We'll see. It's certainly going to be interesting as we go forward here. There are a lot of guys out there on the table. A lot of guys that could change teams for the best. What happens if the Dallas Mavericks, let's say Kristaps Porzingis come back, the Dallas Mavericks also has a pretty good team lined up as well. What happens? All of a sudden the Dallas Mavericks are in the mix for the Western Conference. I think it's going to be some changes in the Western Conference next year. I think Golden State takes a step back. I think they're going to struggle to make the playoffs next year because of all the injuries. I think Golden State will struggle next year. Let me just going to the West right now. Here are the teams. Now look, the Lakers didn't make it. The Lakers are going to be in the playoffs next year. Now where they are in that hunt, I don't know. But the Lakers are going to be in the hunt next year. So who will that displace? So for the sake of argument, if the Clippers don't get Kawhi, will it be Oklahoma City? I'm looking at the bottom four teams: Utah, Oklahoma City, San Antonio, and the Clippers. The Lakers they're gonna displace one of those teams. Okay? Now, which team that'll be, I don't know. But the Lakers will displace one of those teams. If Dallas gets what they want, what about Dallas? Because Dallas, with the Rookie of the Year, they got Kristaps Porzingis. What if they sneak in there and steal one of those very good free agents? A Kemba Walker. They've got some salary space to do that. They're going to be in the hunt. And what about Sacramento? They've reached out and said, hey, look, we're going to go ahead and offer Harrison Barnes a little cash to keep him there. So let's look at some potential pairings after the free agent. Let's say these things happen. And I'm going to get to one where they've been talking a lot about that as of late. I think it's going to be a mess. But think about it from this perspective. We mentioned it earlier: LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Kawhi Leonard. If that happens, I mean, oh my God, I almost had an aneurysm there. If that happened, think about this from this perspective. When you drive, okay, you got to get by LeBron, then you got to get by Kawhi, and then Anthony Davis is there protecting at the rim. How you gonna get a layup, dog? This probably would be the best defensive team that we've ever seen. That's one triplet matchup. How about LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Kyrie? That would be a heck of a lineup too. All of those at the Lakers, obviously. Here's another one. What if Kawhi Leonard decides, hey, I want to go play for the Clippers? Many people have talked about Kawhi Leonard wanting to go play for the Clippers because he's from the Los Angeles area, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, he'll still be playing in Los Angeles. He just won't be donning the purple and gold. But his pairing would be Kawhi Leonard and Kevin Durant. Now, obviously, Kawhi would have to play a year without Durant, but think about that for the future. Here's another pairing that I hadn't talked much about, but James Harden, Chris Paul, and Jimmy Butler. They would have to get rid of Clint Capella, Eric Gordon, and P.J. Tucker. This is not going to happen. Jimmy Butler, Chris Paul, James Harden, the personalities would not work together. Now, they probably play for a year, but Jimmy Butler is a no-nonsense kind of player. I think he would be better suited with Chris Paul as opposed to James Harden because of James Harden and the way he plays basketball. Puts up a lot of points, but that's about all he does. What about at the New Jersey Nets and Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, which many people are thinking this is going to happen? And I believe this is going to happen as well. I really do. I think Durant is gone from Golden State. I just do. I think he's chasing the ghost of LeBron to prove that he's better than LeBron. And no matter how he slices it, he'll never be better than LeBron. What about the Los Angeles Clippers, Kawhi Leonard and Jimmy Butler? Reports have surfaced that Leonard and Butler have interest in teaming up for the Clippers, which should give potential opposing offenses nightmare. Good luck scoring on two of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA. I'm just looking at potential pairings for NBA free agents. Here's another one, number 7. Luka Doncic, Kristaps Porzingis, and Kemba Walker. I mentioned that earlier. That wouldn't be a bad pairing. If that ended up, it's going to be interesting already with Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis right now. Now you get a point guard. All of a sudden, the Mavericks are back in the hunt in the West because I think the West is going to change what we see. Golden State running away with it, that's done. I think Golden State is gonna fall to that bottom 4 that got the playoffs last year. But that's an interesting pairing right there. Doncic, Porzingis, and Walker. So that's 7 of the potential interesting pairings for the NBA. The free agents that are out there. I must admit, one that they didn't talk about is Kemba Walker and the Lakers. That's another one that I would throw out there. Now, there are other combinations that you could throw in there, but that right there is an interesting combination. Now, I was talking about the West. You look at the East, Milwaukee ran they didn't run away with it. They won it by 2 games over Toronto, but they could potentially lose 3 free agents. If Kawhi leaves Toronto, Philadelphia stands pat. All of a sudden, Philadelphia is looking at the top of the heap, and we don't know what's going to go on with Boston right now. Apparently, a lot of people don't want to go and play in Boston. We're now thinking that maybe Danny Ainge was not that genius that we thought Danny Ainge was. Have y'all noticed that? Maybe Danny Ainge is not the genius that we thought he was. There can be a lot of changes. Look, and don't let me forget about Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan might have been a great basketball player, but a great front office person. Why hasn't he been fired? Why hasn't he been fired? Are they hanging on to Michael Jordan just because his name is Michael Jordan? The only star that they have is Kemba Walker. Kemba Walker expressed an interest in staying in Charlotte, yet the Charlotte Hornets late last week basically offered him less than what he could get on the free agent market. If I'm Kemba Walker, I'm gone. If I'm Kemba Walker, why would I stay in Charlotte when it's clear that the Charlotte Hornets are not doing anything to build a championship, just like New Orleans was doing with Anthony Davis? And there are multiple places that Walker could go that could be in the hunt for the championships or the playoffs. Now, if I'm Walker, I probably wouldn't go anywhere in the East, but he could end up in Boston. If I'm Philadelphia, here's what I do. I dump Ben Simmons. I get Kemba Walker. I sign Jimmy Walker. That's what I do. What did I say? Jimmy Walker. Jimmy Butler. I sign Jimmy Butler and I get rid of Ben Simmons. That guy has got to get a jump shot. But those are my thoughts, folks. Let me see if there are other NBA free agent rumors out there, because they're going to abound for the next, what? Let's see, it's almost 10 o'clock right now. The NBA rumors, you're going to hear those all day long. If you are, on the Twitter account following anyone in the NBA, this is the day to follow NBA stars. Okay? This is the day. Because there are going to be all kinds of rumors. Let's see. Here's one from Bleacher Report. Oh, no, this is from Bleacher Report. Are the Los Angeles Lakers the new front runners for Kawhi? Okay. According to Mark Stein, with free agency a day and a change away, it's the Lakers who have convinced Las Vegas and an increasing number of league insiders that they are LA's true threat to limiting Kawhi Leonard's Raptors career to a single season, not the Clippers. If the Lakers do indeed enter the sweepstakes for Kawhi, enter the season with Kawhi, they have to be considered the favorites to win the title, even with the roster filled with veteran minimum contracts and the $4.7 million room option. Jimmy Butler has interest to the Heat. These are just rumors now, okay? You're going to get all these rumors. Look, some of these agents throw stuff on the wall to scare other people to say, hey, look, let me go ahead and sign this guy before he goes somewhere else. Darren Collison is retiring from the NBA. Well, that's not a rumor, according to what they're saying. The Jazz interested in Thaddeus Young. Who knows what's going to happen with Durant? Enes Kanter, all of a sudden, who really did a great job with Portland. All of a sudden, he's drawing interest from around the league. Is Andrew Wiggins on the move? Man, all of these things will be settled over the next coming days. It's going to be fun. I'm loving it. I'm loving the fact that the NBA is, look, we're in the middle of baseball season, and we're talking NBA. That's what your league wants. That's what your league wants. Your league wants to be talked about year round. It used to be just the NFL. We talk NFL year round. The Hall of Fame game is just it's in 2 or 3 weeks? The NFL Hall of Fame game? It's just in 2 or 3 weeks. That's how the NFL got so built into our psyche. But now, we do that with the NBA as well. We're talking, look, by the time we get through talking free agency, see, here's what the NFL ought to do. They need to swap the draft and free agency. This is simple to fix. Swap the draft and free agency. Have the draft a week after free agency, as opposed to 3 weeks after the draft, the way it is. And then the summer leagues kick in. People are talking summer leagues. People are going to Vegas to see these players participate in the summer leagues, and then boom, you get a couple of months off, and then here you are in October ready to start the league all over again. That's how I would do it if I'm the NBA. I mean, it's easy to do. But at least people are talking about this league year-round now. And that's what the fun thing about it. I mean, I grew up playing football. I grew up a more football fan than basketball fan. Part of the reason probably because I was short. But it's kind of strange that I flipped the script. I am more of a basketball fan, especially NBA, than I am football. And certainly the NFL politics has something to do with it as well. That doesn't mean that the NBA is devoid of those. But I like talking NBA. I like seeing what these guys have more autonomy than anybody else in the sports arena. And they don't mind using it. One other quick note before we wrap this up. I know people are going to start talking, if in fact, for whatever reasons, Kawhi Leonard does end up with the Lakers, people are going to be talking super teams. I heard this on the show the other day. It's just wrong how LeBron has ruined the league with this super team stuff. And on the same show, they were talking about how great the Boston Celtics were. Now, if you go back and you look at that Boston Celtics roster, Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, Dennis Johnson, Danny Ainge. You had Bill Walton coming off the bench as a sixth man. If you go back and you look at that Lakers teams in this heyday, Magic Johnson, Kurt Rambis, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Michael Cooper. If you go back and you look at the Seattle Supersonics team, you had, I forgot that Boston team also had Dennis Johnson, who was on the Seattle Supersonics, along with Gus Williams and World B. Free. That was a super team. If you go back and look, and my point being is, if you go back and look at all the rosters of those teams that have been dominant, the Bulls teams, people forget that Dennis Rodman joined the Bulls after he had won, 2 rings with the Detroit Pistons. Was that a super team? So my point being is that all of you people whining and crying about all of these guys joining up and playing together, shut up. The league has always been this way. And why is it that you whine about the NBA doing this when you don't whine about Major League Baseball doing it? Isn't that what the Yankees have done all these years? Isn't that what Steinbrenner did, is go out and buy the best players? Isn't that what the Red Sox did when they finally started winning? Isn't that what baseball does as a whole? That's why they have this mid-season dump. Because actually, they're selling their players to the highest bidder. Isn't that what the NFL does in its free agency as well? Is try to, although it's harder because you got to have a bigger squad, but all of these leagues try to at least the look. Last year, it was the Rams with all of those guys they got on defense, then the offense, still didn't win it. So this hatred for the NBA, this double standard of calling something a super team, because You don't like LeBron? It's not well founded. Okay. Anyway, I've got to get out of here. Coming up here in a few minutes, Real Talk, Real Money with David Ashley. Hope you enjoyed the show. I'll be back next week. Don't forget to go out and check out the Weekly Sports Magazine on Saturdays, and then, of course, Black Focus Radio. Remember, next week is the 4th. I think it's Thursday. I'll be out Thursday and Friday, possibly Saturday. But we'll certainly have Black Focus Radio up until that time. You all have a great weekend. It's a beautiful weekend out there. I hope everybody is enjoying themselves. Be careful out there. There are a lot of people already out there celebrating the 4th. We'll talk to you soon. It's the Weekly Sports Magazine. I'm Dynamic Dave on JoyNetRadio.com.
Thanks for listening to the Weekly Sports Page with Dynamic David Coleman.
Boy, nice right. Ice cream. Alert. 654 Jose. Okay, 1-0.
Tune in every Saturday morning from 9 to 10.
Richmond, 96 double. 96 double. Okay, let a player.
Until next week.
Business owner, can I talk to you for a moment?